go back in the race's history to the Whitbread, Sayula, Flyer, Steinlager, there have been so many iconic boats of different classes. Then you've got the Whitbread 60, the Volvo Open 70 that were around for years, did 3 editions each. Now, of course, we've got the IMOCA 60 with the foiling assisting technology, taking sailors around the world at ever-increasing speeds. But I'd argue that there's another class as iconic as any other, as rewarding for sailors and fans alike. That's the VO65.
I've got the opportunity to sail on one of the VO65s here in Alicante, the Austrian Ocean Race project. When these boats aren't racing, they're often used by the teams for guest sailing, giving people a pretty unique experience and a chance to get their hands on some serious hardware.
Go in. Is it okay if I take a couple of people downstairs, have a look? Does anybody want to come and have a look downstairs? When you get on board a VO65, you can immediately see the difference between this and an IMOCA. They are coming at this round the world race from 2 different sides. I mean, the biggest thing is we're down below now on the VO65. I mean, it's cathedral-like down here. You know, you can be swinging around from one side to the other side, absolutely huge amount of space all the way over here. You've got storage space, you've got bunk space. It is designed to take a full crew of people and their kit and their supplies all the way around the world.
We're like a lot of people on the boat, and so we are living together, but still you get some of your own space a little bit. You have your bags somewhere so that you can walk around, you can like go once to the bow, back or up, and just also you can stand up inside.
Obviously, like any boat, this bit's big, this bit's spacious, and then there are a few nooks and crannies that you can squeeze into where things start getting a little bit tight. We're on the Austrian Ocean Races project at the moment, so I'm not gonna start poking the buttons on the computer, but obviously if you've been watching any of the races from 14, 15, 17, 18, you'll know that the nav station, the media station behind, it just gets a little bit tight and a little bit claustrophobic. You've got to be careful where you put your fingers in a boat like this. I'm very tempted to put my fingers around there, but this is actually the gear shaft for the winches. You've got media station for the poor old OBR who's in the worst position ever. I think in a minute they're going to start whining and you're going to hear how loud it gets down here when somebody's working those pedestals. You can hear them with their feet at the moment pressing the gears, engaging the pedestals. Right, so here we go. So we're going to end up furling. We're going to furl the sail that we're using at the top, and we're just going to go for a soft tack. This is going to be about as gentle as I think it could be. We're only sailing at about 8 knots of breeze with the masthead code 0 up. And we're taking it pretty easy, but even with that, it's loud. Oh. Stopped. No. Now we're unfurling the code 0. And the reason it sounds like it's slightly further away is because it's using the winches on the other side now for the sheet. So they've disengaged from this side on the winches, using the ones on the other side. And then they'll wind it on that final little bit. Boat's now starting to lean on the other way. And as somebody that gets chronically seasick, I can tell you, I'm just having to reorientate myself as to where up and down are. Oh, perfect. So that was sedate. That was pretty calm. That wasn't even in a rush. And that's the noise that you get. Maybe you get used to it. Maybe it doesn't wake you up anymore.
Of course, you can't do any tour of the VO65 without addressing the famous gimballing carbon fibre toilet. Is it a blessing or a curse when you're offshore? I think the jury's still out.
It's a hot day at the moment in Spain. We're in Alicante. And it's hot down here. But thank God we've got the deck. And I know it's a small thing, but it is another thing about the VO65 is you've got two hatches left and right when you want to come out on deck. And you've got quite a nice open cockpit. We see all those amazing images of people basically tucked up just on the side here with the water coming over the coach roof and sort of going over their heads. That seems to be the driest place on the boat. But at least you've got a deck, at least you've got outside. That's not something that a lot of the IMOCA 60s have. So it'll be really interesting to see how the sailors on the 65s are able to, I wouldn't say enjoy the outdoors, but they'll be able to get out there in some sort of comparative safety. Where the IMOCA 60 is very much a boat that you're going to sail from sort of inside. Who do you think is going to be able to push it harder? You in the 65 or the IMOCAs?
We definitely.
Yeah.
Because we have 10 sailors, or like we have more sailors, we have more crew, and like the IMOCAs is built, now the boats are built for sailing solo, so they're always on the handbrake on. They just don't go full on and keep it safe.
Yeah. We should just say none of the IMOCA sailors are here to refute that, but I do understand what you're saying. I do understand.
They have more fun.
Oh.
They don't have to take with the others. They do.
But that
just
can
like
also
whatever.
be fun. Like if you're talking to the others, like if you have a nice team. Now when we are doing the races, we have always a young team, so we have a lot of fun. We're gonna do a maneuver.
Oh, have you got to go to work?
Everybody should go back for now because we do a maneuver. So
I don't want to pull anything heavy. It's gorgeous out here. Absolutely gorgeous.
One of today's guests is the CEO of Ulysses Nada, Patrick Prunille, having his first ever experience on a VO65. He's also in town for a very special event, the launch of the Ocean Race Diver Watch, maybe the most environmentally friendly timepiece ever made.
What's it like? What's it like being on the boat?
No, it's fantastic. It's a great experience.
To you, does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Does it feel fun?
It feels light.
Yeah?
It feels very light and agile
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
I mean, very graciously here,
There you go.
somebody let me have a close look. You're the timing partner for the race. You're the timing partner for the Racing with Purpose. Tell me about this. This is new.
This is new. This is amazing. It's the latest diver watch that we're launching with the Ocean Race. So it's a Ocean Race Limited Edition, which is largely made of upcycled materials.
Yeah.
And recycled plastics and carbon. Brought together, probably one of the most advanced and sustainable IROG watches that does exist.
It's pretty special, and
I'm glad you like it now.
Well, yeah, I've got to give it back though, so I'm just holding back a little bit if you don't mind. I'll keep it for as long as possible. But you should be very hesitant with any boat like this to use the word comfort, but I think relative. I mean, this is a pretty comfortable setup. You know, you've got kitchen space. It's not much, but it's there. You've got a little bit of room to get dressed, you know. And I think things like that, combined with the fact that, yeah, I mean, the 65, compared to most, is heavy. But it's heavy for a reason. It's built into the structure to give it that strength and that longevity. And the sailors can trust that. And I think that was the interesting thing that we saw in the Southern Ocean the last time around. We saw those sailors pushing this boat relentlessly through the Southern Ocean in a way that, dare I say it, with the 70s before, people wouldn't have done. The boats didn't quite manage to kind of match up with what the sailors were putting them through. We saw loads of breakages. The 65s have been able to keep going. And a lot of the sailors think that the VO65s are going to beat the IMOCA 60s through the Southern Ocean through the simple reason that you can crank the throttle right open and you can keep pushing because the boat will be there for you. This is the boat that I would have the confidence in those tough conditions.
As the skipper of the Austrian Ocean Race project, Gerwin Janssen has a responsibility of leading a young VO65 crew in the Ocean Race Europe in 2021. And he's also hoping to be on the start line in January 2023.
The boat is lovely. You know, it's sometimes people complain about it, but it's just so quick and it is safe, and it is fun. Also with guests, but also with like racers, sailors. It's just a fun boat to sail, and we really want to compete against like similar one design boats, because that's at the end the nicest. It's about the sailing team. The boats are the same, so. Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I think with a lot of people, you know, the ocean race is pretty tough. And we always talk about how hard it is sailing through the Southern Ocean and how hard it is to win. It's difficult to get there. It's just difficult to do all of this. Why do it? Why is it for you that you've decided to take on this challenge?
Yeah, well, it's always been there, of course. You always follow it as a sailor, like the ocean race, the Volvo Ocean Race, the Whitbread. It's always been there, and it's one of the big three races. I always said it's like the Olympics, America's Cup, and the Volvo Ocean Race. And of course, the last year of last edition with this amazing finish. Of course, the winner takes it all, and I think it was just amazing.
And obviously the Ocean Race Europe for you guys, you're in there, young team. First leg went pretty well. You guys did pretty good. Yeah. I imagine that's given you a nice taste of what's to come. And I'm guessing you just want a little bit more of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we finished this whole Ocean Race Europe. We sat together and we looked at each other and said, well, this was really cool, and we want more, basically.
So all the halyards at the moment attached onto the bow, running up to the top, and you've got pretty much everything here for attaching the masthead code zeros, the J, the J1, 2, 3, everything going back, and different fixing points on the boat. All of those sails can be used at the same time. We're used to seeing that in conjunction, not just one big sail, but a whole stack of sails using and sort of stripping as much power as they can from the breeze. The asymmetric dagger boards, one on the port, one on the starboard. If you're used to a normal boat, you're used to seeing the halyards coming out the mast high up because you might have somebody kind of pulling at the mast and running it back. No time for that here on this boat. You'll have far more chance providing that extreme power on the pedestals in the cockpit. So on this ones, they're exiting a lot lower, it's a lot neater, and it slides in, and then it goes underneath the coach roof here. It goes through a carbon tunnel on the inside of the boat. If you look at the coach roof here as it goes over, there's a lot that this coach roof is doing. The first one is obviously it's providing some sort of shelter, but also you're using this surface to essentially roll or slide the sails from the windward side to the leeward side just before you tack, just before you jibe. If you've got a yacht, if you've been sailing on a yacht, you'll probably be used to seeing a track running from the back to the front, fore and aft, and you'll have your pulley on it that will slide up and down, and that's where your jib sheet will go and attach. And you can pull that back so it changes the jib sheeting angle, you can move it forward. You see that a lot on boats that go upwind. Well, these boats will go upwind, they'll go across the breeze, they'll go somewhere in between the two, downwind, all sorts of angles. So there's no track on this boat at all. And instead what they have is essentially a 3D trimming system with the ropes coming out through a big stainless steel ring. The sheet will go through the ring and you can move that ring in 3 dimensions, up, down, left, right, forward, backwards, anywhere you want. That's about as much as I can tell you about that system because it's quite complicated. But what it means is that this boat can be tuned to sail efficiently at any angle of the breeze. On any boat, this is pretty standard. These are the stack of numbers. This is a B&G system, and this is basically where the boat's telling you through the data whether it's happy or not. I mean, we've seen that boat speed up in the high 20s, in the low 30s. We've seen the VO65 and what it can do. I mean, in the last edition of the race, a whole bunch of boats broke the monohull 24-hour record. It was Axel Nobel that actually established the highest one, 605 nautical miles in 24-hour period. I mean, the fleet's still here. They haven't broken up. They're still finding ways to push it really hard. And with even more conditions, perhaps, comes even more speed. Right, let's have a look at the cockpit. This line just running backwards and forwards here, safety line here, that's what we're used to seeing the sailors clipping onto, pulling themselves forward, pulling themselves back. They might also clip gear to it. There's another one running along the coach roof down on the other side, so if the conditions aren't great, they can kind of secure themselves on there. Into the cockpit, and probably the biggest thing if you're used to any kind of sailing is just the sheer size of these things, and the VO65 has been around, it's been racing for a good few years now. I mean, 2014-15 was the first edition that we saw the boat racing in, but they've been out on the water for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years before that. So a lot of this equipment has kind of been around for a while, but it was top of the line then, and it's still really nice now. Carbon drums, they're all really nice, and the power that you can get down on a drum this big, providing that much torque when linked up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, all on the pedestals with the carbon fiber drive shafts going through the boat, and all of that power going onto one winch, going onto another winch, going onto another winch. And we see that so much in the race, where that sprint to pull the sail in hard, furl one up, get the other one out of the way, it's all going through these big drums. So this is the pit area, where essentially in here, and I'll make sure I clip that one back on, but essentially here in the pit, we've got all the halyards at various locks that are running for the sail. So, you know, the fractional sail, J2, lifting the dagger boards up on various sides, and it's all coming onto this winch. Again, this winch can be powered by 1, 2, 3 or more people. You can put a handle in it if you really want to go for it solo. But this is quite compact. This is pretty neat. The other thing to point out is this is the end of that carbon tube that I was talking about, where at the base of the mast, the lines run into that carbon tube and they come all the way through and they exit out here. For me, it's quite surprising to find a pit that's on a boat this size. It's all there. Going a little bit further back, you've got all the hydraulic controls. So the winch can be clicked into a hydraulic pump, and then that power can control the van, can control the tack pressure on various sails. So it's not just about winches and ropes. There's also quite a lot of hydraulic oil working the boat going around as well. And this is the sort of iconic view that the helm has. And I think at one level, you know, when you're here and you're looking forward, this is a beautiful, calm day. It's very easy standing on this boat around in the boat park. But if there was a big wave coming for you, there is nothing that's going to stop that wave from getting to you. The 65 is a tough boat. And I think that's one of the reasons why it is still of great interest to a lot of people. I think it's a pure way to sail. All of the systems that I've outlined on this boat, and that's just scratching the surface. To a certain extent, any sailor could jump on board and recognize what to do with it. It's winches and it's ropes and it's clutches. You know, if the sail's flapping, you pull it in. It's still sailing as you know it, but it's big and it's powerful and there's nowhere to hide. You're out here in the elements, you're staring up the face of a wave and you're trying very quickly to work out how to get that boat over that wall of water. So for the fans, we watch the VO65s tear around the world and you can see the energy that the sailors are having to put in. And I hope for the sailors, you go around the world, you did it properly.